Good morning, good afternoon. This is Mrradillo's World. We're back with another episode. This one is episode, I don't even know. I think it's episode 23. Could be wrong on that number. But what's up, guys? We're back again. And now we are living in a golden age. Yes, that is the topic of this week's episode. We are going to talk about the golden age. We're also going to talk about some Raiders stuff. And then we're going to talk about just some life changes that have occurred recently. So, but we'll get into it. So let's start off with Donald Trump is president once again. And I posted a video last time of like how I leaned. Previously, I wasn't a fan of Trump. And then I slowly started realizing how much lies were kind of being perpetuated by media, by narrative. And really, Trump wasn't as bad as people were making him seem. One of my issues, and I wrote a reminder, is I thought Trump kind of used Christianity as a crutch in his first term. It didn't seem like he was genuine Christian, so it seemed like he was just kind of using it as a crutch. But I was mistaken. I really do think the assassination attempt had a profound effect on Mr. President Trump. So I think that really changed his perspective, and I think that he's just a different thing. He even said in his inauguration speech that God saved me to save America, basically, to make America great again. And that's exciting. I'm excited about this term, and he is wasting zero time. He is out of the gate signing executive order after executive order, basically undoing all of President Biden and Kamala Harris's term. Kind of crazy. I wanted to read some of these like executive orders, not to get too political here, but it's just crazy how it's crazy to actually have a leader in the office again. I feel like countries respect us. I feel good about the future of America. And I feel good about life. And this is just a caveat too. Christ is on the throne regardless of who's president, regardless of who's in power, regardless if I disagree, regardless if we're persecuted, regardless, Christ reigns supreme. But it is nice to know that finally the White House knows there's only two genders. That's really nice to know. You know what I mean? He declared a border emergency executive order, declared a national emergency, so he put troops at the border. This one's kind of controversial. I don't know how I feel really about it. The ending of the birthright citizenship executive order, that's kind of crazy. I mean, it only affects those who parents aren't born here. And if you're born here, it doesn't mean you're automatically a citizenship. I'm sure that'll go to the Supreme Court. So I'll have to wait and see on that specific thing. So that's kind of iffy. I'm on the fence about that one. I don't know how I feel. In one sense, I understand it. The other sense, I'm like, well, I don't know if I understand it. You know what I mean? So it's I'm really on the fence with that one specifically. The Remain in Mexico policy. So essentially, if they're seeking asylum, they have to wait in Mexico instead of being here in the United States. He deleted the app that allowed them to come to. I forgot what the app was called because I'm not a political pundit, but it's exciting. The designations of cartels as a terrorist organization. Boom. Holy moly. He is doing things right. Oh, and as far as my appearance, I forgot to mention this. Since we are in a golden age now, I have to step up my appearance. You know what I mean? I have to live up this golden age lifestyle. I have to suit it up, if you know what I'm saying. I have to. I just have to. I just thought it would be funny to celebrate a golden age on this podcast and dress up really fancy. I thought it would just be funny. He also withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement, which I have no idea what that even means. I don't know the ins and outs of the Paris Accords or the Paris Climate Agreement. But hey, I'm cool. We'll let future generations deal with that, right? No, forget that. I don't even know if it's real. I don't even know if it's real. I don't know. What am I? Who am I? We're going to start drilling, baby, drilling. All about it. Let's become a superpower again. Let's deplete those resources. Let's deplete them. Let's do it. Let us do it, because this is a golden age. This is a golden age America. We don't care. We don't care about your other opinions of us. This is America. And finally, we can say this is America without being canceled. Punks. Sorry, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. I just think this is kind of funny. All this is really funny. I've always been politically. I've been conservative. I mentioned this in my last video. I was super conservative, religious conservative, and even fiscal conservative. I'm very much conservative. But then I got disillusioned because I felt like the Republicans and the Democrats really just were liars. They were lying to us. And I think that's accurate. I think we can see from their attempt at Donald Trump is the establishment, whoever that may be, is scared of Donald Trump presidency. And I understand why. He is going crazy. Not crazy in the sense of like he shouldn't be doing this. No, he's just going for it, man. And I respect that. I respect a man being like, he's declassifying the MLK Junior files and the JFK files. Like, this guy's just doing it, bro. No more government secrets. He's going to declassify a whole lot of stuff. And I'm here for it. I'm here for this excitement. All right. He put a hiring freeze on all federal hiring, right? They're about to cut some waste, line by line audit. I've been saying this. I was like, I want to run if I ever ran for president, which I'm never going to because I don't think I could gain the support. For one, I don't have the money, and two, I just don't know if I'm that type of person. I feel like I'm more of a background type of guy. I know who I am. But anyways, what I was illusioning for Mrradillo for president would be line by line audit of the federal government and cut that waste. Doge is exciting. The Department of Government Efficiency, Golden Age. Whoo! We're going to Mars. The government is going to sponsor more like research and excursions to go to Mars. Elon was pumped about that. No more DEI initiatives. Whoo! From the federal government, departments just being cut. And I'm here for it. I'm tired of wokeness. I'm tired of being on eggshells and not able to say things. And I'm not a very disrespectful person. I'm a very respectful person. But I'm tired of you trying to control what I can say and how I can think. Like, I'm a Christian and automatically that makes me a bigot. And so be it. Like, Christ is king. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Christ is king. He pardoned all the January 6th defendants. Look at that. And honestly, I'm not surprised if stuff comes out about that and that turns out to be just a giant hoax that was orchestrated by the government. Honestly. I don't know. And then obviously the TikTok. And I'm sure he's done more. He just recently visited California for the wildfires and North Carolina because they just left that town and those cities just thrashed. No help, broke the roads. It's just kind of flabbergasting. And then the California, like, they just let those wildfires happen. And obviously they didn't let the wildfires happen, right? But they weren't prepared when they did happen to help all those people's homes. And it's a tragedy. It is a tragedy in LA. And Trump's pushing for them to start rebuilding their homes. Not be this Maui situation where they're still not being able to rebuild their homes. You know what I mean? So yeah, so we are in a crazy golden age. Leaders are starting to respect us. He's talking about tariffs. He's going to tariff all the other countries. And like, I'm kind of here for it. He's talking about the Panama Canal. He's going to take over the Panama Canal, change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. And honestly, I was thinking about that logically. I was talking to my parents, like, everything is America. Like, Mexico is technically America and South America, and it's like a gulf in between America. It makes sense to be more Gulf of America, you know what I mean? From a logical standpoint. Not sure why it became the Gulf of Mexico. Maybe because Mexico is... I don't even know. I don't know the logic. Rename Mount McKinley from Mount Denali to Mount McKinley back from what it was. Or I don't know, something... I didn't even know that was a thing. I frankly, and this is showing my ignorance, and that's fine, because I'm just a dude with a mic who knows nothing. Right. I don't even know where Mount McKinley is. Geography. past. Right. Anyways, I'm just like kind of excited because America seems like we can be proud of being American again. We don't have to be ashamed of where we're from. And honestly, to be frank, that's the American ethos a little bit. And people will talk junk about blah, 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 like countries and other things. I don't think they realize we as Americans, and maybe this is arrogant, and that's fine. I'll take that. We just really don't care what other countries think of us. We don't care. We are America. Come at us, bro. Come at us, bro. Like, I used to get so upset when people would talk junk, like especially in like comments. Like I get real riled up when people start talking junk about America. I'm like, bro, them are fighting words. You ready to throw down? You ready to throw down? And it's weird too because I kind of went through this phase where I was very pacifist type person. Like I didn't believe, and my thoughts have kind of changed on this. But as a Christian, I had a hard time believing in killing and murder. And then I started watching, funny enough, the Lord uses a lot of different things to kind of change your mind because I was really on the outskirts of like not being in any type of power position, not being in the government because the government's all corrupt and being separate, kind of a separate society type vibe. But see, like the problem with that is I don't know if it's necessarily biblical. Yes, Christ said to give to Caesar what is Caesar and to God what is God. I don't think Christ intended his disciples at the current moment to take over the Roman government, right? But that's ultimately what did happen through Christians being faithful Christians. A group of 12 expanded to be the powerful religion of the Roman Empire. Like that's mind-boggling. Obviously, the Holy Spirit was in that, right? But it wasn't, Jesus didn't automatically make himself king. He is the King of Kings. But he came and was more concerned with the spiritual affliction of mankind's heart. And he will come back again, and he will be Lord of lords and King of kings, and every knee will bow and every tongue will confess who he is. And I'm excited for that day. But I was on this mindset that like, murder was bad, so war was bad, and I wanted to be a pacifist and love all men. And I think my intentions were good, but I think I was deceived because of where I was blessed to be born. The sacrifices that others have made for me allowed me to even have this perspective. Because if rewind 1,000 years, right? If I left my home, my wife and my children were vulnerable, right? If I came back home and didn't win a war, basically our whole lives would be sacked and some of us would be sold into slaves and my wife would, and terrible things would happen. And that kind of blew my mind because I didn't think about that because I was watching The Lost Kingdom, Babenberg, or I can't remember his name, but I was thinking about that and like, he goes off to war to defend his honor, and like his home just gets ransacked by people and pillagers, and you're like, well, you have to protect what Lord has put you responsible for. So that kind of shifted my whole perspective of like, I'm not this pacifist because at times like, like it's a really complex because I'm struck with this turn the other cheek, but then I'm struck with this like, if I don't defend my home, if I don't defend my wife, which I believe I'm called to, right, then terrible things can happen to her, right? So, anyways, that's not even what we were talking about here, but I kind of went through this metamorphosis to where, like, I believed too much of the outrage of society, right? I got swept up in it. And honestly, once I, like, kind of withdrew a little bit and kind of refocus my life and just try to focus on Jesus, my whole perspective changed, right? And Trump, I voted for Trump this term. Like, and I'm not ashamed to say that, right? Because I think, for one, if the enemy is trying to do something against him, right? And I'm not talking about spiritual here. I'm talking about literally the establishment, whoever decided to kind of struck that chord of getting rid of him, It's because he's a real threat to do change. And I think we as Americans are ready for change. We're ready for our government to stop being corrupt, to stop being elitist, to go back and start caring about the people, right? And honestly, and we may be incorrect, but we'll find out, right? Because I don't think so, because he's already doing his promises, right? We believe Donald Trump at least cares about people, about the people, about what they want, right? And he will be a force for change. And that's exciting. That's exciting that because we always preach in these terms since I've been of adult age and I've grown up in college or in high school. There was always this doom and gloom about society, right? Making it in the sense of like, things are going to get worse. Things are going to get bad. Look at how much worse things are getting. Society is kind of crumbling. But now this is the first time I honestly think society is going to get great. I think we're headed for a revival of America. You can already see people turning away and turning back to Christ, right? You can see that as the wool is being pulled from people's eyes. And it's almost like we're preparing and trying to usher in Christ's return. And I'm being hyperbolic because I don't know. No man knows the day nor the hour when Christ will return, right? He's coming like a thief in the night, right? But I kind of may be on the train of like things we may usher in Christ's return. You know what I mean? Not that the world's going to get so bad and like an antichrist is going to pop up, but I'm also open to that. That could happen. That very well could be the case. You never know. Like, that's life. That's why you just kind of, for me, focus on things I can control. Focus on who I am as a person and what I can do. Do my very best. Do everything unto Christ. Love my wife. Be a good husband. Turn away from sin and be closer to Christ every single day. And that's a challenge. But it's a challenge worth striving for. It's a challenge worth competing to. Anyways, that's kind of my spiel on the Golden Age. And I'm excited for it. Like, I am really excited for this Golden Age. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's exciting. It's kind of been fun to kind of watch politics again. And I've kind of gotten into it. I'm not going to lie. There is some scary stuff, like with the ICE stuff and different things like that I don't know how I feel about those. You know, I don't know about like children kind of being taken over the border. And maybe that's a little too liberal. Like, I don't know. Maybe I need to be a little bit more conservative and just go with the flow kind of thing. And it's because we do need our borders secure, right? We do need legal immigration. We need better immigration. I don't know if it is right. Well, it's not. It's not right to break the law and enter a country illegally. But I understand why they're doing it. I understand the strive for a better life. Like, I get that. That pursuit of happiness. I understand. That's kind of the ethos of America, right? If you're coming here for a better life, to work hard, to fulfill that American dream, to integrate into America, like, I have no problem with those people coming. But the problem is you have people coming that don't have those values. They want to fundamentally change America. They want to make America resemble a place they left. You know what I mean? And that's I think the real issue. And it's a complex issue. It's not something that's easy. But it is exciting beyond a lot of those issues. And I'm looking forward to the next 4 years to see what's going to happen. Because it's kind of also changed that, like, the media doesn't have the influence it used to, right? So now, like, any mud they're kind of slinging, we just don't care about it anymore. You know what I mean? It's like we've reached the point where, like, you've lied so much, you have zero credibility. Now you have to build credibility back. Right? Anyways, so now, since we're in a golden age of America, here's to a golden age of the Raiders. So we're going to talk about the Raiders. So I haven't talked in a while because I was really just miserable with the season. 13, I think? Yeah, 4-13. We were atrocious. Terrible coaching. Terrible execution. Just terrible all the way around in this football season. They fired Antonio Pierce. Actually, first of all, back that up. They fired their offensive coordinator, hired a new offensive coordinator, or were promoted a new offensive coordinator. Then they fired Antonio Pierce, and then they fired the general manager. So it's a clean slate, 1 year experiment, ultimately done with. And then they hired John Spytek. I've heard it's good. I've been listening to him and doing a little bit of more research. I'm not an expert, so I don't know specifically. I'm more of a let's wait and see what's going to happen during this new regime change. And then we hire Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll of the USC Trojans back in the day with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart. Then we see the Seattle Super Bowls, the contention with Marshawn Lynch, Russell Wilson, and the Legion of Boom back there in the defense. And I'm pretty excited, actually, about it. There's a lot of talk about him being 72, and he'll be 73 when he coaches his first game. Like, I get the whole age thing, but I think experience is helpful, and I think we need something different. We've went that young gun model very consistently throughout my time as a fan of Raiders, and it doesn't seem to work out. We also went for experience as well. But here's to Pete Carroll, hopeful for the best. We'll see what offensive coordinator he brings in. We'll see what defensive coordinator he brings in. It'd be dope if Patrick Graham stays. There's this chatter of Max Crosby maybe being on the way out, and I would be really sad if that's the case because, man, I love Max Crosby. I think he represents what being a Raider is about, the tenacity, the will to win, the never give up. It reminds me a lot of Michael Jordan. It reminds me a lot of Kobe. It reminds me a lot of Muhammad Ali. And funny enough, those guys are who he idolizes in a sense. And I would be really sad if the Raiders did decide to move on from Max Crosby. If they decide to do it, ultimately that's what happens. I'm a fan of the Raiders. Yes, I'll be a fan of Max Crosby from a distance, but ultimately, he won't be a Raider anymore. Brock Bowers was a hit. JPJ, I forgot what his name was. The center, Jackson Power Johnson. Jackson Power Johnson. So for whatever his name is, he's kind of a stud, looking good. Then they also have Glaze on the other side that actually had a pretty decent season. The actual draft class seemed pretty good this season. We'll see how it holds up over time. But the priority of this season, after building the staff, is to re-sign our players, bring back our homegrown talent, and apparently to find a quarterback. We'll see what happens with that. I would love for a miracle to happen and us to end up with Shadur Sanders. That'd be dope. I'm all in with Shadur. I think he's going to be good, and it'd be exciting to have him. They also talked about Jackson Dart being a possibility. I haven't really watched much of him, so I don't know how he is. But I'm open and optimistic for change. Tom Brady being at the helm of our organization. Excuse me. He's at the helm, at the steering wheel, pointing our direction, hopefully in the correct direction. He has 7 Super Bowls, so hopefully he can go ahead and bring us to glory again. Bring us a commitment to excellence back to the Raider Nation, to the Raiders organization. I want to give props to Mark Davis, though. He wants to win. I'll give him that. He takes big swings. He wants to give the crowd championships. He wants that. And he even is humble enough to sell part of his team to the GOAT of football, right? And for him to give up some equity of his thing, of his organization, so Tom Brady can come on board and make some decisions, right? And point ourselves in the right direction to move to where we need to move. And that's exciting. It's change. It's different. It's new. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped for the future of the Raiders. It's been a tough season. It's been a tough road as a Raider fan. But here's to hope. Here's to a golden age for the silver and black. Here's to us winning a Super Bowl. Here's to being competitive again. Pete Carroll, I wish you the best. Let's see what happens. So that is my Raiders spiel. I'll probably do some more episodes as we get closer to the draft and really as we start doing free agencies and kind of talk about those different things. And I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of not only America, but the Raiders. And then I'm just going to go ahead and get into some personal things. As I mentioned before, I'm finished with my master's thesis for a master's of theology. Exciting, kind of exciting thing. But we've also stepped away from being youth pastors. There's been some circumstances and issues that I'm not going to go into here, but me and my wife felt it was best for us to step away, really kind of get out of the ministry for a while. I don't know if we'll ever be back in ministry, where I'm not going to say never, because if the Lord calls, I will answer. But I think we are going to enjoy being married for a while, enjoy life, work on building a family, and really just focus on our marriage and being good Christians, getting plugged into another church, building some community. But yeah, I just wanted to let all of you know that we have resigned, and I'm not going to really get into the issues. Maybe one day we'll do a tell-all kind of thing. Maybe not. That's not really my style. I like to be respectful. I like to do things the right way. I like to not have strife with men. You know what I mean? I want to be honorable. So I just wanted to let anyone knows who's watching this, who's gotten even to this far. I don't know if you have or not, but that's where I'm at, and that's where we are. Pray for us. Keep us in your prayers. We don't know what the future holds. It's weird because, and this is kind of where I'm at with feeling, is like, I got my master's degree in business, and I was ready to take on the world. And even just my bachelor in business, I was ready to take on the world. And I was going for it. I was working a job kind of thing. And the Lord kind of wrecked me. And I think it was because my focus was solely on making money. I've said this before. My focus was to be a billionaire. I actually, this is really ambitious. I wanted to be the first trillionaire ever, but Elon Musk is going to beat me to that real quick. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to be close. There's probably already some Saudi princes that are already at that point. So it was really unrealistic of me. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll be wealthy. And I'm going to try my best to provide for my family and be the best husband and father I can be. Not a father yet, but when I am. That'll be my sense of wealth, I believe. Hopefully we'll be well off. We're working on building a home and have nice things, but those aren't what are important. What's important is building my relationship with Christ firstly, and then building my family in Christ. You know what I mean? Anyways, but what I was getting back to is I had all this ambition to go to just be successful in the world's eyes of what success was, right? But the Lord wrecked me, and the Lord pointed me to what was important in life. And I pursued that into ministry, and I became a youth pastor. And I'd always served, right? But this is my first time being the youth pastor or youth director, as they would call it. And I poured myself into there, and it was difficult, and I love those kids and really thankful for that opportunity. But then we found that we didn't really fit in that situation, and it was time to move on. And we felt like the Lord moved us on. We moved to New York. I got to start a business, and I was like, well, during that time, I decided to pursue a master's of theology because I thought if I'm going to be in ministry, I want to have this biblical aspect of theology so that I can rest on it and be confident in knowing what I'm talking about, kind of thing. And so we started that in 2020, finished it at the end of 2024, so 4 years there. It's been a road. It's been like a year and a half basically on my thesis. Probably could have done it in just 2 semesters, but I had to stretch it to a summer and another fall. But I got it done. And we were in New York, and I was like, well, I don't know why I'm doing this theology degree. Now I'm owning a business. That makes more sense to own a business. And then the Lord just moved and moved us to Arkansas because ultimately we felt that was best for our family. As my wife didn't really like New York very much, and she wanted to get out of there. It was too cold for her. It was just not for her. And I respected that. So we sold our business. for what we could. We kind of broke even. Still have some things we're paying and stuff like that, but we sold it, kind of got out of there, moved to Arkansas, and we had the opportunity in a short time to join a church plant, start a church, be youth pastors again. And honestly, we loved it. And we love all those kids. We still do. And our heart goes out to them. I know they're hurting as well during the situation and whatever. And we love you. I'm sorry. But we had to do what was best for us. And we had to do what God was calling us to do. And that's tough sometimes. It's tough because you leave relationships, you leave people. But then I'm in this point now where it's like, well, what did I get the theology degree for? You know what I mean? Like, now I'm a financial aid analyst. I have a master's degree, and it's just like, and it's not that the degrees matter the most. They don't really matter that much. It's just more of like, Lord, what have I been missing you the whole time? You know what I mean? Have I been making the wrong choices? And then I don't. Like, I have reflection in times of peace where it's like God has been there. God is guiding us. Yes, things get difficult and things of that nature, but I can see his hand on us the entire time because God is gracious. So I don't know what the future holds. Me and my wife have been praying and talking, and please pray for us that possibly going and pursuing a doctorate. I don't know if I'm going to do it in business. I don't know if I'm going to do it in theology. I don't even know if I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? I'm leaning more at the current moment, just from my thought perspective, is doing it in business. Because even if I do it in business, I can still teach at a Christian college theology. Because I already have a master's in it. You know what I mean? I don't need a doctorate in it. But then there's aspects of maybe I'll do a doctorate in theology. Maybe that'll help as I do more writing and things of that nature. But I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I know right now we're just going to kind of buckle down and enjoy our lives and work on building our house. Like, that's our goal at the current moment, and we're excited. Yeah, that's it. But that's kind of the life update. Please keep us in prayer. We're still dealing with some things through that situation, and we're trying to pray about it and get better. And my goal is not to get bitter. My goal is not to hold on to things, because I've done that in the past. I've held on to things, and I was miserable, and I wasn't happy about life, and it showed. And I don't ever want to get back to that point. I want to have joy and peace and love and mercy, and I want to exude the fruit of the Spirit. And so this is kind of it. That's where I'm at. This has been another episode of Mr. Mrradillo's World. We are in a golden age, so